The binger knows that many Marvel fans are only sort of familiar with the Eternals. With a new movie coming out in this new phase of the MCU, we thought we'd help with that confusion. So with that, settle in because this video is taking a deep dive into all things Eternals. To kick things off, it's best to begin with an overview of these pulp and print heroes. They got their start back in the 1970s. In those days, Jack Kirby, yes, that Jack Kirby, just left Marvel for DC. He created his fourth World Series under the Detective Comics moniker, but a difference in opinion caused another untimely split. With that disappointing end to a great short run of Cosmic Comics, Kirby worked his way back to Marvel determined to do the same. Thus, the Eternals were born. They were the elixir poured into the Marvel Comics universe to fix their cosmic line. The origin is simple, but complex at the same time. The complex part that normally trips up the casual fans is the idea of the Celestials. Lucky for you fans of the Guardians of the Galaxy, you know the name. Yeah, Ego is a Celestial and one of the last of his race, it seems. On top of being Peter Quill's dad, Celestials are also known for creating alternate forms of humans. They wanted to perfect the human race. The end result was the Eternals. However, the byproduct of creating these seemingly perfect humans was a race called the Deviants. Deviants are the sworn enemy of the Eternals in the comics. Alright, that's the basic origin story. See, it's simple to understand why the Celestials exist. However, it's a lot harder to understand what they actually do in the comics. The truth is, the group doesn't do a whole bunch. The Eternals acted as guardians of Earth, protecting them from the Deviants. After they fended them off, they went into hiding. Keep in mind, this was a long time ago. Many comics date it back to ancient Greece, hence the name of the Eternals supposedly inspiring the names of Greek gods and mythological figures. Don't worry, that's all going to make sense more here in a minute. The main takeaway you need from the comic book history is the idea that the Eternals are basically gods on Earth. Think of them like down-to-earth versions of the Asgardians. Literally, down to Earth. That's not a figure of speech. Their powers closely aligned to the Greek gods their names mimic. Remember this when we start going over the heroes in more detail. For now, it's time to move on. This entry is not what you think it is. Now don't worry, we're getting to it, we promise. The crew is referring to the production crew and their filmography. Hopefully looking over the main members of the crew will tell us more about what we can expect from this film. The usual suspect, Kevin Feige, is the producer on this film. Yeah, it's no surprise there, but it always needs mentioning. Feige is the constant piece in every Marvel film. No matter the director or writer, you can rest assured Feige is going to make sure it stays on the rails. The more interesting part of this crew is the director and writers. Chloe Zhao is a major addition to the MCU family. Her feature film, The Rider, is a marvelous work of cinema. Her career in feature film directing is just getting started, but expect amazing things from her in this film. The pre-production element means a lot of this film crew is unconfirmed at this moment. However, we do know who's writing it. Matthew and Ryan Firpo were given top billing as writers on the Eternals. The two screenwriters only have short credits and minimal feature credits to their name. Don't let that scare you though. Their work in short film displays excellent story building and narrative focus. So despite the greenhorn nature of this crew, many expect great things to come. Time to get into the nitty-gritty. This video is about the Eternals after all, so what we're going to do is dedicate the rest of our time to understanding each member of the main group and how they stack up together. From there, it'll be easier to suggest how they might fit into the larger plans of Phase 4 and beyond. We want to focus on the main heroes in the group. The faces of this superhero enclave change often in the comics. Remember, the Celestials made a bunch of Eternals, but only some stuck around to fight for the humans. The main core of the Eternals is made up of Ikaris, Sersi, Makkari, and Thena. However, they're often accompanied by one or two other Eternals. Sadly, we can't confirm which additional ones might show up. On top of this standard lineup is some potential outcasts and oddballs we believe are going to make an appearance. These are characters we won't cover in detail, but their names are worth noting. Names like the Forgotten One, Ransack the Reject, Sprite, Carcass, and Starfox. All those characters are worth noting because they may make an appearance. However, it's the following characters that we want to go over with more detail. Currently unconfirmed, Richard Madden is rumored to be in talks to play the co-starring role for the film. Madden offers a lot for the character, but let's not get caught up on the actors. This whole thing is supposed to be about the character. Ikaris was born near Siberia some 20,000 years ago. Yeah, the dude is super old, we know. Anyways, Ikaris helped guide a ship of humans and animals out of the sinking of the deviant city of Lemuria. To the passengers on this ancient ship, our hero seemed to resemble a bird. It's why many in the Marvel Universe believe Ikaris is the dove depicted in the biblical story of Noah's Ark. Ikaris got his name from his child. Yeah, you guessed it, the other Ikaris. Turns out in the comic universe, our hero gave his son those mechanical wings. The younger Ikaris attempts to fly up to find his absent father and loses consciousness. He was only half eternal and plummets down to the earth. The older Ikaris takes on his name in his son's honor. All of the Eternals are nearly immortal and resistant to disease. The power that makes Ikaris special is the laser beams that he shoots from his eyes. Yeah, it doesn't seem like much, but he can fly and stuff too. The thing that sets this hero apart is his straight-laced attitude and dedication to proper heroic conduct. Expect that to remain true for this film version. Sersi is being played by Angelina Jolie. To be honest, the casting seems perfect. Feige already confirmed that both Sersi and Ikaris will be the main characters in the film. They needed a big name to bolster that statement and get the general audience excited. Sersi is the free spirit of the Eternals. Some comic book storylines have her joining the Avengers. Many others include her getting involved in a number of human affairs. Simply put, she's one of the only Eternals to continue interacting with humans after dealing with the Deviants. She is the exact same Sersi that you're thinking of from ancient Greece. As it turns out, she met Homer and inspired him to write that character into the Odyssey. Crazy, right? Her powers are also closely related to her fellow Eternals. The way she distinguishes herself is the telepathic abilities in her arsenal. She can create illusions and communicate through her mind. She's also capable of generating force fields with her mind and all those things that go along with the powers of telepathic ability. She seems simple, but her personality complicates all of these things. Expect her to play a big part in the movie. Makkari is exactly what it sounds like. He was born in Olympia, Greece, to two Eternals. His life is what the ancient Greek people based their god Mercury off of, and he plays the role well. Ultimately, Makkari is a standard speedster. He is always around in any fight to provide backup and occasionally pack a mean punch. He's traveled a lot of the universe in the comics. He's even battled the Super Skrull and met the Silver Surfer. Now don't get too excited though, it's unlikely either of those characters are going to appear in this film. As far as his powers go, well, it's pretty self-explanatory. He's got the super speed ability. There's a downside to this power though, because the light speed travel zapped a lot from him. He can't fly anymore and can't project matter willingly like his comrades Ikaris and Sersi. Now, every Eternal can teleport, but many choose not to. The act of teleporting really disturbs their body's natural functions for a time, so Makkari seems to have found another way to get places fast without going through that painful experience. The last of the big Eternals we want to cover is Thena. As it turns out, she is one of the simplest among them. Like Sersi and Makkari, Thena was born in Olympia, Greece. She actually took her name so that people would confuse her with the Greek god Athena. It was a shorthanded way to be treated like royalty. Thena is big on war. She fought a lot of bad people and helped out a lot of armies. She's not a warmonger, but simply a good ally to have on your side. Her eternal abilities grant her specific advantages in combat, and most of the time she fights on the victorious side. Now, we could go into her relationship with Crow, but we're not sure it's going to play into this film. It's better left unsaid for the moment. Her powers are just like that of the other Eternals. The key difference is her intellect. She's used her long life to study and collect history. She also used that intellect to track down some mystic weapons she now uses in combat. It's safe to say that Thena will be the best fighter in the group, so get ready for some great action sets with her if she's included. Say what? Yeah, Thanos is an Eternal, but we're talking about him because it helps us transition into talking about Phase 4. Spoiler alert for those who haven't seen Endgame yet, with Thanos now out of the picture, no Eternal is present. Now, technically the MCU didn't confirm that Thanos is an Eternal in their universe. However, in the comics, Kirby retconned the world of Titan to be a refuge for Eternals endowed with something known as Deviant Syndrome. It's why Thanos looks strange but contains human qualities. Thanos being the first Eternal we see might be significant. How would the world react to meeting the rest of these people after he destroyed half the world? The Eternals are accountable for their own race's actions in a lot of ways. If they're still on Earth, they know about Titan. If that's the case, they were the most equipped to deal with that threat. It's likely that Phase 4 will start by explaining where these Eternals went. All reports say that this film will take place near the beginning of the Eternal start. All of these characters needed to grow into their roles. Since Marvel is aware that many are unaware, this will likely roll out as a prequel. Seriously, this is a mega prequel, like going back to ancient times prequel. It's not confirmed, but it seems logical. After all, the main conflict in the Eternals' vocabulary is the Deviants. Lemuria sank into the ocean at some point. We'd be willing to bet that's the action we will see as the climax of this film. Not to mention the tremors heard in the ocean during a small scene in Endgame. Perhaps the Deviants are rising back from the underground. It's difficult to confirm this, but it's definitely a theory. If the tremors are the Deviants returning, then this would help tie the Eternals back into the present day issue. Still, one wonders why they weren't present during the final battle in Endgame. Well, many of them live in isolation now. The plans for Phase 4 probably include finding a way to place all of these characters in exile for some kind of accident. Again, we're expecting this film to take place in a world long gone. The writers will probably walk the audience through the initial days, then set us up for their place in the present day. However, nothing is a guarantee. Well, except for the fact that this film is happening, so the Eternals clearly have a future in the MCU. It's a huge guessing game to figure out how they will play into the future phases. I mean, we're assuming there's going to be future phases past this fourth one. Marvel doesn't seem keen on stopping at the moment. They may return to become Guardians of the Earth, but we doubt Feige will take that route. It's more likely that they will go the Captain Marvel route. Given their magnificent abilities, the Eternals will likely go out to support the discourse in the cosmos. The initial movie we'll get will simply provide us a backstory for a future cameo in a bigger Earth conflict. However, this is all assumptions. The only other assumed scenario we can think of involves Sersi. She's known for getting involved in human affairs. Perhaps this movie revolves around her decision to stay on Earth while the others leave. It's possible Sersi's been at these conflicts the whole time disguised and willing to fight. If that's the case, expect a new Avengers film soon. It's possible she will become their new leader. Well, that's what you need to know about the Eternals. There's a ton more detail we simply can't get to for the sake of brevity. However, did we miss something that you wanted to see? Tell us in the comments section down below, and don't forget to follow The Binger for all the latest content.